Alright, we should be live for the 2 p.m. stream. Let me just double check and set everything up. We have strikes going down in Israel from Hezbollah and Iranian militia groups, or proxy-backed militia groups, however you want to go on about that one. We have a few sirens, literally sirens, maybe 10, 15 minutes ago, and then sirens roughly an hour ago. So we have a lot going on, and we're going to get right into it here. First off, let's do the one from roughly an hour ago.
I'm going to move my camera there so we have another Haifa angle. Oh yeah, interceptor. Look, two interceptors.
So you got interceptors going up here over Haifa, Israel. Once again, this was roughly an hour ago.
Interceptors. 3, 4 interceptors. 5 interceptors. On Cam 5 and on 6 interceptors. Holy shit. Where did these even come from? Oh my gosh. Okay, nobody look away. There's another interceptor off in the distance there. I counted 7. I saw 7 of them. Okay. Lock in, ladies and gentlemen. Here we go. Oh, I think we could see an interception out there in the distance. It looks like we're seeing some interceptions out there. Yep. Interceptions taking place. That might be it. Hold up, there's another one out there. Another interceptor getting launched. and another one. They're still going. It's not over.
All the way in the back there in the Haifa, Israel cam. Once again, this was roughly an hour ago. And then we have another set of strikes that happened about 10 minutes ago. And then we have more alerts. More alerts constantly coming. And we actually had some ground footage here eventually. Not sure how far into the stream ahead that was. We have right here more footage of the attacks that just happened. Hezbollah launched around 40 rockets towards Haifa.
Ladies and gentlemen, Hezbollah recently launched around 40 rockets towards Haifa. And we recently saw this. This is from that recent attack we just saw. Hezbollah launched around 40 rockets towards Haifa with multiple impacts reported. Rescue teams have been dispatched to the affected areas. Take a look. So, you know what? I think what we just saw was not, in fact, an Iranian ballistic missile barrage. I think we saw a Hezbollah rocket barrage. And if that's what this is the biggest maneuver that we have seen Hezbollah pull off here since the start of the war, what, 7 days ago. This would be the biggest play. The biggest maneuver.
So you had that barrage, like I said, about an hour ago. Then we had this one,
and
15 or so minutes ago.
Long-haired German Shepherd. I have the worst type of dog you could possibly own as someone with dog allergies. That's really the problem. Okay, ladies and gentlemen, here are those ballistic missile red alerts. This is what that looks like. There they are. This is the big one. This is the big one. Yeah, this is this Tel Aviv? Yeah, we're looking at Tel Aviv here, folks. Tel Aviv. So right now, if I were you, I would look right above me. Look right above my head. These things are wailing like a bunch of banshees. Even more alerts. Even more. Cam 3. There's one interceptor launched over Ben Gurion Airport. 2 more. There's 3 interceptors launched. Okay, all right, even better. Even better. Interception on Cam 3 just there. Maybe everything is fine. Is everything fine? You hear a big airplane coming down right now.
And that was pretty much it for the most recent barrage. And then we had this footage here coming out of
Embassy in Baghdad.
Baghdad.
Now, I've got footage coming out of Baghdad I want to show you folks. Oh my God.
Crazy. Holy shit.
That's a C-RAM. This is, in case you couldn't tell, this is effectively a giant US Gatling gun. It's like a massive Gatling gun, and they're trying to shoot down drones. Wow. Sounds like they hit it. Sounds like they hit something up there.
Yeah, they definitely hit whatever they were going for. And then we have, obviously, like, the main news today that Trump has pretty much said it's going to be complete destruction or nothing. And today is going to be, apparently, the hardest hitting day for the U.S. against Iran.
So moments ago, President Trump posting on Truth Social with a new warning to Iran. He writes, Iran, which is being beat to hell, has apologized and surrendered to its Middle East neighbors and promised that it will not shoot at them anymore. This promise was only made because of the relentless U.S. and Israeli attack. Today, Iran will be hit very hard, under serious consideration for complete destruction and certain death because of Iran's bad behavior. Are areas and groups of people that were not considered for targeting up until this moment in time. And it comes after the president held a meeting with executives from 7 defense industry giants yesterday in a bid to boost production of higher-tier weaponry amid the fighting in Iran. So let's turn to the wall and break down some of the numbers behind the conflict. Of course, from the very beginning, when you have asymmetrical warfare like this, you have a real problem because the United States has all of the money and the big weapons, but a place like Iran has lots of weapons, but they're much cheaper. For example, they are firing hundreds and they have thousands of these Iranian drones that cost them between $20,000 and $50,000 a piece to make. They have been the leaders in making those cheap drones. It costs us somewhere between $2 and $5 million each for, say, Patriot interceptors or the THAAD interceptor to cost as much as $10 million each. So you can do the math and see that $2 million to shoot down a $20,000 drone. The math is very much against the United States in a situation like that. At the end of the first week, you're talking about several $1 billion worth of defense measures on our part. On the hope, though, is that what we have with the high-energy laser with integrated optical dazzler and surveillance, the Helios, would allow us to shoot these things down a whole lot more cheaply. And, of course, in Ukraine has developed lots of strategies for using even cheaper drones, as little as $2,500 a piece, to take down those drones. Here to discuss is Steve Yates, former Deputy National Security Advisor for Vice President Cheney. He directed George Bush's national security team against Saddam Hussein and Osama bin Laden. So great to have you this morning, Steve. So big picture right off the top, is the United States running out of ammunition?
Well, according to the Secretary of War, we are, of course, using supply, but we still have plenty to conclude this mission. And just as you were noting, sort of in the math of they've expended a lot to the point where they're now sort of apologizing to their neighbors and maybe pulling back, they should be throwing fewer ordnance our way and towards our allies, and we should be expending a little less as this grinds forward just a little bit more. I see this right now as a way to look at how we always do, apply technology to achieve another revolution in military affairs, not to extend this war, but to extend the peace beyond this war. If America stays ahead, wins the technology, wins the space race, uses these means to kind of put these regional powers in their place when necessary, that's going to ultimately be a massive down payment on extended deterrence in Asia, the Middle East, and our own hemisphere.
How quickly can contractors who provide things like the Patriot missiles and the THAAD interceptors, how quickly can they ramp up production if needed?
Well, some of this is our standing on our own way. Obviously, President Trump is fully on board with the idea of flattening the old way of doing business where Beltway bandits became billionaires and things were too expensive, produced too few of them, and arrived way too late. So that old way of doing business has to stop, and I'm pretty sure the president might have shared an opinion or two along those lines. So whether it's regulatory holdups or other kinds of permitting, we've got to streamline these things. I think that's the two sides of the coin that Secretary Hegseth has really made a priority. One is the warrior ethos, and the other is we've got to do business at the speed of war in this century. And that's, I think, where this meeting comes right into front and center.
Yeah, we have to go, but real quickly, looking forward, President Trump has talked about wanting to work with the future leadership of Iran. How difficult is it to negotiate unconditional surrender when so much of the top of Iranian leadership has been wiped out?
Well, I think the politics of this are going to be a challenge, but it's a good challenge in the sense that we've achieved military dominance. We've defanged the ability of the regime to hurt their own people and us and the region. I think political leaders will emerge, whether they're in the military or otherwise. And so I think in time, this is going to come to clarity. For now, I think patience makes a lot of sense, and strategic communication so far has been pretty good by the president through this crisis.
Steve Yates, thank you so much.
I don't even know who's left. They were saying the other day that his son could have been killed, but apparently he wasn't. Who even knows at this point who's left from this regime? They've just wiped them all off the map.
That doesn't sound good at all. That doesn't sound good at all. Oh, interception.
We got
over there,
interceptors
top
over
left.
Haifa.
Okay, the alerts are done now. I think the alerts are over.
Another set of missiles from Hezbollah or Iran over Haifa. That's the third in the past hour. It's a busy day today. I think I just saw another one over Northern.
Been it. You think some hit? Yeah, I'm gonna look for reports of any hits there. I'm scanning here for reports. We have a massive super chat here from Marla Jones over on YouTube. She says, "Hey Matt, could you give a shout out to my husband Dwayne? Every day he asks me what Matt Morris had to say today. My cue to tune in. We both love you." Shout out Dwayne and Marla Jones. Hey, thank you both for tuning in. I love that this is like a family affair. Everybody in the house is tuning in. That's awesome. Thank you very much. It's funny you super chat. I was just thinking, I wonder what Dwayne is doing today. I wonder what Dwayne is up to. Dwayne and Marla. I wonder what they're doing today. They're tuning into the show, of course. Obviously. No, thank you guys. Thank you very much. Thank you very much. That's very kind. It's a family affair. The good kind. Oh, Marla, you are not going to believe this. Hold up. Hold up. Oh. Marla and Dwayne, you're not going to believe this. Okay. Hold that thought. That red alert is over. I need to show you this. Israeli aircraft are reportedly striking about 30 different large oil storage tanks, marking the first such attacks on state infrastructure since the start of the war. And we just saw that they were targeting this Tehran oil refinery. And so this is totally in line. This is lockstep here. Now we have the video confirmation. Look at this. Israel is striking oil storage and oil refinement infrastructure right now. I should probably move my...
Bro, the price of gas is gonna fucking fly through the roof now after this.
I can't let it get out of here. This is a 90-second long video here. Let it play. There, wow. I'm sure even from this distance that you can feel that heat, you know? That's just hot as hell, I bet. Yeah, gnarly, totally gnarly. Greta will be furious. Yeah, I'm over here recycling my Coke cans like a dumbass.
Greta will be furious.
Putting them into the recycling machine. Gotta save the environment. Meanwhile, we are blowing up oil fields. Boy, do I feel stupid. I'm using a cardboard straw over here in America to save the turtles. And they're over there blowing up oil refinement facilities. Boy, do I feel dumb. So anyway, man, they're just decimating the Iranian oil apparatus, really. And I'm gonna play that one more time real quick, and I'm gonna get through some of these super chats. This is what's happening right now, folks. U.S. and Israel probably, well, Israel and U.S. probably are taking out the Iranian oil infrastructure. Lori Michael says, hope the super chat helps you a little. You know what helps me is just you tuning in and being a part of the show. Thank you very much, Lori. Thank you very much, man. I always like that name, Lori. Thank you very much.
Emerges with those deadly capabilities reconstituted and still represents a threat to the United States and our allies.
Mark, do you see any cracks forming so far in the regime? That is, any dissension from some of the leaders where they might want to become the kind of official Trump could deal with?
We haven't seen it from leadership. I mean, there's been reporting from Iran International, which is the best Iranian opposition channel out there, that says that certainly at the not at the command level, not at the leadership level, but Iranian soldiers and those who've been manning missile launchers who've been refusing to show up for work. I mean, Paul, the worst job right now is to be manning an Iranian missile launcher, because you may get your missile away, but the second you do, U.S. and Israeli radar locks on you, and all of a sudden you are no more. So that's a pretty bad job, and I think there are some people who are starting to say this is not worth it.
All right, Mark Dubowitz, thank you as always for your insights. Appreciate it. Still ahead, as the U.S. military campaign in Iran enters its second week, some are warning that America and its allies lack the air defenses for a long fight. So is the U.S. really running out of ammunition?
Oh, they need to stop this. My goodness, man. We're talking about the United States here. We're not talking about North Korea. Oh, will they have enough ammunition to continue this? Come on now. Let's get real here. I agree. They most likely didn't have to blow that up, and I can only imagine when Monday hits, the stock market is going to crash even further, and the price of oil is going to probably continue on its way to 150 a barrel, which is seeming like more and more of a reality now, but shit, I guess it's too late for that.
And red alert. I think we don't need to panic about that yet. That's a small little tiny red alert. So don't worry about that one. Yeah, down here it's leadership. Yeah, right. And that we will just continue sort of broadening out our targets, our scope of targets here until the Iranian regime surrenders. You know, what's gonna be next? After oil facilities and airports and train stations, then what? I don't know. I'm not the military tactician, but this kind of seems to be the way things are going, yeah? Seems to be the case. Seems to be the case. Trump said as much. I'm in fear. I'll just show you the Truth Social post. Truth Social. Trump said it himself. Trump gave us the confirmation here. Trump said this morning, today, Iran will be hit very hard. Under serious consideration for complete destruction and certain death because of Iran's bad behavior are areas and groups of people that were not originally considered for targeting up until this moment in time. Now they are. Now we are targeting them. So this is Trump earlier today saying, yeah, we are expanding the scope of targets.
Well, there you go.
And I think that scope will continue to be expanded until the regime collapses. I think so. We were talking about this maybe 5 hours ago. We were talking about the Roman method or the Roman approach. And it seems to be that Trump is kind of taking the Roman approach. What do I mean by that? Well, what Trump is doing, day one of this operation, they ended up killing like 100 members of the Iranian leadership. Like 100 of them. IRGC, political leadership, the Ayatollah. Took out a lot of them. And now you have kind of the second string leaders. And the message is this, listen, we are going to keep on blowing up leadership until you guys capitulate, until you surrender and you agree to do what we want. And so the first string of leadership, the Ayatollah, his compatriots, they refused to do it. Okay, blow them up. Trump blew them up. Now we're on the second string. Did they capitulate? Did they surrender? No? All right, blow them up. Okay, third string. Okay. It seems like Trump is just going to keep on wiping the playfield clean here until we get to a group of Iranian leaders inside of this country that agree, all right, we're going to do what you want. All right, okay. We don't want to end up like the last 7, groups of leaders. So on behalf of, group number 8 here, we're gonna surrender, we're gonna capitulate, and we're gonna do whatever you want. That seems to kind of be the approach here. That Trump is just going to keep on blowing through leaders until we get somebody that agrees to do what he wants. The true FAFO, that's we call it the FAFO method. The Roman method, we call it the FAFO method. Really.
fighters and bombers because
do a quick
the
scan for
Iranian
updates out here,
Air Force
folks.
has been basically grounded. It's been eliminated. The Iranian Navy has been eliminated. And the second point to make is this is being fought through the air with precision weapons. We're not engaged in carpet bombing here, but very precise weapons targeting the Iranian infrastructure, its military, political, which is to say the individuals, and its repression structure. That is the intention of this, and to suppress Iran's ability to build nuclear weapons. On that basis, it is going very well. Iran's missile strikes are down 90% since the beginning of the war. Drones are down 83%, as Lucas Tomlinson reported. So I think the way forward now, as the United States gains air and Israel gain air superiority, is to continue to hit Iran's primary ability in this war, which is to fire missiles and drones from its underground missile cities around the country. So far, I think so good.
All right, Kate, you follow this issue of munitions very closely and have for a long time. So why don't you explain to us what is in short supply and what isn't, or if anything is?
Well, so let's use Chairman Kane's categories there, offensive and defensive weapons. Okay, so offensive weapons, the United States, the air control that the U.S. has means that U.S. forces can get closer to the targets. And that means we're not relying on very high-end, exquisite missiles that we have in very low numbers and that we would really need in, say, a higher-end conflict in the Pacific. That's good news. It's also a reason to go after the regime now before they get sophisticated Russian or Chinese air defenses and can strike at our troops. Now, on the defensive categories, the missiles we're using to take down incoming Iranian missiles and drones, we do not have enough of those. We need to buy more. We'll have to replenish what we've expended. But at the same time, Paul, you know, the phrase in the defense world is that missile defense buys you time to take out the target by another way. And that is what the U.S. offensive campaign is doing. So when General Kane says, take the throttle up, that's a reason to pick up those strikes on those launchers and the ability to produce them and not just wait for them to hit our bases. That's the way you change the bad missile defense exchange ratio.
Kate, this is a war with drones as well. We have these high-end interceptors that take down ballistic missiles, but you don't want to use those against drones. Are we relying on Ukrainian expertise? They've learned a lot against Russian drones that were supplied by Iran, by the way.
Well, right. I mean, the Shaheeds have really been refined on Ukraine's battlefield.
And it already is.
And has.
Okay, so yeah, all of these red alerts are interrupting me. It's getting a little bit. It's getting very rude, to be honest.
More alerts.
So I wanted to take a look at the Dubai International Airport here. And it would appear as if the Emirati airspace is back open. There was about an hour where they were turning away airplanes, and we saw all those airplanes fly over to the east, getting away from the skies of Dubai. But now it seems as if the Dubai International Airport has been reopened for civilian aircraft. These are not military. That being said, why don't we take a look at military aircraft or government and see if there's anything strange going on out here? What are you doing, sir? This is an Emirati Airbus C-295 just flying southeast. Who knows where you're going? Do we see any big strato tanker movements? What do we have? This must be U.S. We actually don't know. This is an Airbus A330, but we don't know which country it's from. The country of origin is not registered. Where are you flying? That's real. I've never seen a plane like that. That doesn't have a country of origin listed. It looks like it's Saudi, or I would guess it's Saudi Arabian. But we don't know, and it's a military government aircraft. Air Camel, Air Carpet, Flying Carpet. Okay. Hold up. Wait a minute now, folks. We've got some action over here. Look at this. So these must be a bunch of U.S. strato tankers. We see these guys all the time flying out here over the Jordanian desert, doing oftentimes aerial refueling. That is not surprising at all. But then what's more, over the skies of Cyprus, I would imagine that these are both Royal Air Force. This is a Royal Air Force drone out here. Yep, a Protector RG-MK1. Confrontation line, red alerts. Okay, this is hostile aircraft. These might be some type of drones getting fired by Hezbollah into Israel. And red alert. So you can see there's different types. Hostile aircraft, confrontation line. This is when I say they're just probably shooting each other across the border. Hostile aircraft could be a drone. And I would bet that all these get resolved here in just a moment. Normally these ones don't last very long. Sarah says, someone turn off those damned sirens. Well, Sarah, why don't you tell your friends in Hezbollah to stop firing drones and rockets? Okay, Sarah, thank you. You can pass my message along. And then maybe we won't have any more alerts, Sarah. Sarah? Now, we already saw this one de-escalate.
So I briefly pulled up the Beirut skyline cam here, and it sounds pretty quiet. It seems like things have slowed down significantly in Beirut. I can't confirm, though, as I just started watching now. It looks like there's somebody down on the rooftop right there. But, for the past, like, 2-3 days, it was just constant bombings, constant gunfire. Yeah, it is. There's somebody down on their phone over there on the roof. But I guess for now, Beirut is all quiet. We'll do a little rewind here to see if there's anything of significance. Yeah, I guess not. Pretty crazy, though, considering, like, yesterday it was just non-stop gunfire, like, just the entire time.
Make sure I'm not missing anything here. Newland Void says, really great job, Matt. Thank you. Thank you. Newland Void. This almost sounds a little bit Norwegian. You sound a little bit Norwegian. Thank you very much. Thank you very much.
We actually do have some gunfire in Beirut. That was a single shot. A single little pop there. But anyway, for now, let's go back to here.
We've already been live for almost 6 hours. Okay, in Israel, it is only 9:22 p.m., which means it's almost 11 in Iran. Almost. We have
I think this is
we have a statement here from
well for them.
The administration seems to be making it up as it goes along. They are heading down the path of American sons and daughters being in the line of fire in Iran.
This is already a disaster of epic proportions, and I'm just going to tell you, it is likely to get worse.
Democrats in Congress are already predicting American defeat in Iran, with lawmakers rushing this week to condemn President Trump's decision to launch strikes and pushing ahead with votes in the House and Senate to halt military action. Both resolutions failed, largely along party lines. We are back with Dan Henninger, Kate O'Dell, and Wall Street Journal editorial board member Kyle Peterson. So it's striking, these comments by the Democrats, Kyle, but they're looking at the polls and they're seeing, I think, that this war isn't popular at the start. Why isn't it? Usually there's a rally around the flag effect.
Well, some of it, I think, has to do with the fact that Trump campaigned against forever wars. So there's some confusion, I think, among some parts of his base about what we're exactly doing here. But I would urge Democrats to read a little bit deeper into those polls. So Fox News poll this week, for example, 61% of Americans say that Iran is a true national security threat to the United States. And then read down even further. The question is, do you think Trump's strikes on the Iranian nuclear program last year were a success? About 30% say yes, 30% say no, but the most popular option, 37%, is too soon to say. So I think President Trump has some runway with the public here, and they want to see if he can land this plane and get an outcome that is favorable.
Well, on that point, Dan, do you think the president needs to do a better job of explaining himself? And how do you read the calculation by the Democrats? What are they thinking here?
Well, the Democrats, I think, are assuming that with the help of the media, they can disavow what they call Trump's war and gain political ground against Trump. I mean, this is the usual thing that.
But I hate to say, it's not. It is. I mean, Trump is a commander in chief, but it's America's war now.
And that is exactly, I think, what the president needs to explain to the American people. Let's understand that Iran is not our only adversary. Iran is in an explicit alliance with Russia, China, and North Korea. North Korea, in fact, has built the underground tunnels where Iran is hiding its missiles. Russia has supplied them with weapons. And this war is taking out one of those adversaries that are aligned against the United States. It's a big deal. It could be a historic achievement if it works, and it's an extraordinary act of U.S. leadership. And I think at some point, President Trump is going to have to sit down in the Oval Office and explain that to the American people, because I think they would be amenable to a rational explanation of why he has undertaken this extraordinary event.
Okay, let's talk about...
The U.S. and Israel are currently conducting all across Iran. We are blowing up their entire oil infrastructure. Here's a photo. Reports of widespread strikes in Tehran, including at Mehrabad Airport. Explosions also heard in Karaj. What is this? That's a confrontation line alert. We're not going to worry about that one too much. We're not worrying about that one too much. So I think right now, ladies and gentlemen, the big development of the night is that right now the U.S. and Israel are scouring Iran, just blowing up oil infrastructure. This is kind of surreal. It's like you have these beautiful fountains with the lighting, and then in the background, a massive explosion, massive fire. The duality. The duality of Iran. Is what we can call that. Tehran is getting hit hard. In fact, I have more footage coming out of Tehran right now. This is an oil refinery in Tehran. Pull it on up. Oh, yeah. Oh, my gosh. Wow. This is that big tower. This is the tallest building in Tehran. This big tower here. Wow, that's nuts. Yeah, I mean, it is not going to be long until Iran is pretty much in the dark. Like, seriously, if you're an Iranian person right now, and there's about 90 million of them, I would stockpile food and water. If you have not already, food, water, candles, batteries, gasoline, whatever, propane, whatever you have, because if we are bombing all of their energy infrastructure, it's not going to be long before pretty much this entire country is in the dark. It's lights out. I'd start stock.
I'm honestly shocked it's not already lights out. I'm just being honest at this point. Like, I don't know why they aren't hitting more major infrastructure than oil refineries. I get that. They make a lot of money off those oil refineries, and that probably is major, but in terms of like actually shutting things down, why are they not just hitting whatever at this point? Shut down their hydro, shut down the power, get things moving here. Hit all of the necessary targets to do so. They're going to replace Iran's leader with a different leader. That's what he wants anyway, Trump. And like, what is he going to help them rebuild all this infrastructure they blew up? Like, I don't understand this.
That's Beirut. Jerusalem.
Because if they level everything in the country, put a new leader in, what is that leader going to be leading? There's nothing there anymore. Like, I don't understand this whole thing.
Well, there's not really a good Tel Aviv live cam right now, if I'm being honest. I'm sorry, not a good Jerusalem live cam. I have a live cam staring at the Western Wall, which is technically in Jerusalem, but you can't really see much. You can't really see much, so we're not going to watch that. That's not exactly what we're looking for right now. This is a oh wow confrontations up here in northern Israel. Folks, one of the big new developments we've seen over the last 2 days is that Hezbollah is starting to get really active. This is all Hezbollah. Hezbollah. For the first 5 days of this conflict, they weren't really doing a whole lot. They weren't doing a whole lot. Now they are. The last 2 days, they've been very active, very active. Very active. Yeah, that's right. Some of my labels are incorrect. Yeah, you're right about that. Thank you, Sarah. Thank you, Sarah. It's a one-man show. Sometimes these things happen. I still think I might hire an Indian. I've been thinking about hiring an H-1B Indian to help me run the broadcast. I've got to change all the scenes and all the settings and all the titles. I do it all myself. It would be much easier if I could say, Ranjit, I need you to change the title, please. Ranjit, change the cameras, please. See, it's that easy. I could pay him $3 an hour. Holy, you guys are gonna like this. Wow. Ranjit, do me a favor, pull this up. Perfect. All right. So we've been talking about how the U.S., this is probably 20 hours ago, the U.S. and Israel bombed the living hell out of the Meribat airport in really the heart of Tehran. So we saw that happening last night. Like I said, maybe 18 hours ago, 20 hours ago. Now we have aftermath satellite footage of exactly what happened here. So we targeted some of their airplanes. We blew up some airplanes, and you can see the airplane debris. We have another one here. These are airplanes that were kind of parked off on the side. Boom, 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 boom. And this makes sense. The IDF earlier today said that we took out like 17 different airplanes. And why these ones? Well, according to the IDF, these are airplanes that were being used by the Quds Force. The Quds Force is a division of the IRGC. Quds Force is effectively sort of the CIA or the Mossad of the IRGC, if that makes sense. They're sort of the clandestine operations, intelligence, spies, smuggling weapons. That's kind of what the Quds Force is in the IRGC. They're the clandestine operations division of the IRGC. And so, anyway, allegedly, they were using these airplanes here out of the Mabrad airport to smuggle weapons to Hezbollah in Lebanon. And we have more footage here. The IRGCIA. Yeah, there you go. Good one. That's right. And we've got more footage of this here. Man, we really just bombed the living hell out of these things, didn't we? Didn't we? And you can note, they were very selective. They picked some airplanes, but not other airplanes. Why this airplane, but not that airplane? Well, our intelligence must have had reason to believe that these airplanes were, operational and maybe equipped out in a certain way. They picked these ones. They were very, that is to say, they were very discriminatory with their bombs here. They didn't just blow them all up. They only blew certain ones, like that one right there in the middle. It's that one. Not that one, but that one. They were very discriminate. So that's some follow-up news about yesterday evening's airport bombing. And right now, the U.S. and Israel are continuing. We're getting more footage. They just continue to blow up oil-related infrastructure. Another video here. This is some oil refinery or oil storage. Wow. Oh my. Oh. Dude, that is like Doomsday Apocalypse. That's so crazy. Wow. Wow. This is the Hongguyan refinery that we are seeing here. I think a lot of this is actually the same refinery. It's the same spot, just different angles. There's that lovely fountain again. There's another angle. Yeah, this does sound like a Chinese refinery in Iran, and you can't help but notice we've been talking a lot about China lately, haven't we?
I was just thinking that. So, like, if these refineries were built up by third parties to fund themselves, aka like China, Russia, North Korea, etc., then blowing them up, okay, fine. It's still going to have an effect on gas prices, and the overall dollar for barrels is going to fly up. I can 100% expect it to hit over $100 within the next week if it continues this way. So, like, yeah, I could see that, crippling China's oil refineries, their oil infrastructure, stopping their ability to make money off of it. But then again, man, like, things are going to get so crazy over the next week. If this doesn't wrap up soon and they're just going to continue to destroy infrastructure like that, you can expect the price of oil to double. It's at $90 and it's probably well on its way over 100 now.
Well, Robert Simon ended up being right 6 years later. Now it is going to be a parking lot. There you have. You know, it wasn't a couple days, it was a couple of years. But, yeah, now it is going to be a parking lot.
Well, like, we wouldn't be in this issue if the Liberal government for 10 years straight didn't shut down oil production, block oil production, right? Like, I don't need to repeat myself on this one. We all know this if you're Canadian. We wouldn't be in this situation right now. Prices would be a lot cheaper. So, like, the Liberal Party shoots themselves in the foot. We get into, or not us personally, Canada, but the world ends up into some sort of conflict like this, drives oil prices up even further, or gives oil companies the reason to drive them up further. And here we are. We're playing catch up. That's what this country consistently does. Canada will consistently play catch up because of weak liberal policies. And that's exactly where we are right now.
Okay, we have a statement from the IDF spokesperson here. What do we have here? What do we have here?
בימים האחרונים כולנו חיים תחת מציאות של ירי טילים לעורף ושהייה ממושכת במרחבים מוגנים.
Okay, I was hoping that we would be speaking in a language that I understand. Okay. So anyway, the translation is this. The campaign may last a long time, but it is necessary. He says, the campaign may last a long time, but it is necessary. This is from the IDF spokesman.
I guess it was truly the calm before the storm, because it really felt like things were completely slowing down, and now everything is picking back up again.
Hold up, do we have red alerts? What's the is something? No, nothing. Okay. More footage of this refinery. Flames erupted in South Tehran following a strike, likely at the Tehran oil refinery. Yep. It's the same one. Not good. You don't want to see that. Whoa. Oh my gosh. Wow. Matt, I've seen on X that the Israeli reactor was hit. Is this true or fake? We have no confirmation. We saw Iran threatening to do that 2 days ago. But I do not believe that the Dimona nuclear research facility, as it is called, has been hit. No. I want to show you, by the way, thank you for asking that question because it's a good reminder. I want to give a PSA for everyone here. Just one moment. Let me pull something up for you guys. I want to give you an example of the just never-ending amount of fake news bullshit that is going on the internet right now. I'm going to show you something. By the way, this is fake. What I'm about to show you is fake. It is AI. This is a post that says, U.S. Delta forces have been captured in Iran. These are the soldiers who arrested Nicolas Maduro. We told you Iran is not Venezuela. Folks, this has 15,000 likes and 1.9 million views. This has 1.9 million views. And it has a bunch of AI-generated photos of Delta Force, I don't know, operators. Like, dude. And this has 15,000 likes and 1.9 million views. And people see this on Twitter and they just believe it. They just believe it. Wow, Delta Force got apprehended by the IRGC. These are the same guys that kidnapped Maduro. Oh my gosh. Man, there is so much bullshit going around right now. So much bullshit. And then you have a note here. No credible evidence supports claims of U.S. Delta Force soldiers captured in Iran, including those who captured Maduro. These images are AI generated. Thank you. But before this can get fact-checked and corrected, almost 2 million people have already seen this and they've already latched onto the story. They latch onto it. What I think is going on here, there's a bunch of, I'm going to be honest, I'll be a little bit rude, low IQ third worlders. That is to say, people from the third world who are low IQ and stupid and also hate America. And they see stuff like this and they say, oh, wow, America's getting owned. Whoa, America is losing the war and Delta Force got captured by Iran. All right, let's go. It's just a bunch of stupid people from the third world that hate America.
He's not wrong, and that's the sad truth. Speaking of fake videos and just fake news, there is a video going around claiming that Iran struck the Dimona nuclear reactor. And it's not an AI video, but it's not the Dimona nuclear plant or facility or whatever it is. It's recycled footage from 2017 at an ammunition depot in Ukraine. And they are recycling this footage as if it's the Israeli Dimona reactor. And this plays directly into what Matt Morris was just saying right now. It's a bunch of people that hate the states. They're low IQ. They don't know any better. And they believe this shit. And that one also has tens of thousands of likes with probably close to over 500,000 views. I'm not going to show it because it's fake news. And I'm surprised that Matt is even going out of his way to show this, because YouTube does have a system that takes down fake and false information quite consistently. And right now he's muted, talking to nobody.
Oh, I was muted. Anyway, it doesn't matter. I wasn't saying anything important anyway. I was just sitting here laughing. I wasn't saying anything important anyway.
About the United States Coast Guard, TSA, FEMA, these other apparatuses. And we know, we know that, for instance, that Iran uses terrorism, uses cyber attacks. And so it's hard for me to believe here.
Iran uses terrorism? I would have never guessed that one. Thank you for enlightening us, Kate.
That Democrats really want to leave the United States vulnerable at this moment and not fund the department.
Okay, thanks, Kate. Still ahead, James Talarico rides a record turnout to victory in Texas as the Republican candidates head to a...
All right, I thought we were going to get a little more insight there than the very basic knowledge.
Israeli assessment real quick. Israeli assessments say that Iran now has only about 100 operational missile launchers remaining out of roughly 420 before the war. Around 150 launchers were destroyed, while 150 were struck and are buried in underground bunkers, leaving them currently unusable. Wow. Yeah, if you've got a bunch of equipment, missile launchers or missiles or drones, whatever, inside of an underground bunker, if you collapse the entrance, if you blow up the door, if you blow up the entrance to the bunker, then, you can't really get to your missiles, can you? Some people think we are losing. I just, I hate to be a little bit rude here, but permission to be a little bit... Oh. Red alert on the confrontation line. I think, once again, they're just taking shots at each other along the border here. Yeah. I think this one here, this is not super concerning. This is not drones. This is not missiles. This is not some unidentified aircraft. This is not rockets. You want me to be rude? Okay. Anyway, like I was going to say, this is going to be a little bit rude, but I think you really do have to be kind of stupid to think that Iran is winning this. If you think Iran is winning this conflict so far, you do have to be just a little bit dumb. We actually have sort of, on that note, kind of in a related sense here, we have a report coming out of... This is from Netanyahu himself. Net and Yahoo.
Yahoo!
He says... Prime Minister Netanyahu said Israel has gained, quote, near total air control over Tehran and is increasing pressure on the Iranian regime. He urged Iranians to rise up, promised safety to regime personnel who surrender, and warned Lebanon that it will face consequences if it fails to restrain Hezbollah. Hezbollah is getting a little bit rambunctious here, as you might have noticed during this very broadcast. You might have noticed that. Get that back. Apologies here, folks. And so this is effectively pretty much what President Trump has said himself. If you surrender...
All right, so we have this video here from Fox News. The Democrats have been constantly going after Trump over the Iran situation. But apparently one of them, Fetterman, is the only one with a bit of common sense here.
My next guest was amazingly the only Democrat in the Senate to break with his party and vote against limiting Trump's war powers. This was incredible. And then later in the week, 53 House Democrats voted against labeling Iran as a state sponsor of terror. Pennsylvania Democratic Senator John Fetterman joins me now. Senator Fetterman, I know you're not in the House, but I have to believe you have some thoughts on the 53 names we will scroll who did not have the audacity to vote to label Iran a state sponsor of terror.
Yeah, I mean, if you look at the same list, that was it's the same part of the same list that refused to condemn Hamas after 10/7. So I mean, that's part of our party, and that 53, that's almost 25% of Democrats in the House that can't just call Iran as the world's biggest terrorism underwriter. That's where our party's been heading now. And now anti-Israel, that's part of the ongoing conversation. I can't imagine why you wouldn't just identify that what Iran is, and we all agree that.
Yeah. Well, we unearthed some sound from the former Democratic nominee for president of your party. Kamala Harris is sounding very different today versus just a short time ago. Let's watch this.
Which foreign country do you consider to be our greatest adversary?
Well, there are different reasons that we should be thoughtful about each. Most recently, I think there's an obvious one in mind, which is Iran. And look, I mean, Iran has American blood on their hands. Donald Trump has dragged us into a war the American people do not want. He has put American troops in harm's way. I unequivocally oppose this war of choice, and everyone should.
I mean, what happened?
Yeah, she's no better than Mark Carney. Quite frankly, I would say she's probably worse, but I have no idea. That's a pretty close battle there.
Well, I mean, I think it's what happened now. But first, I really have to say that now, if someone identifies America's top risk and or threat, and someone dispatches that in about 3 or 4 days and makes it impossible them to acquire nuclear weapons and their missile program, why isn't that a good thing? I don't know why that's not a great thing. And Hillary Clinton said the same thing back in 2015 when she was running in president. Virtually every Democrat that I'm aware of says we can never allow Iran to acquire nuclear bombs, and they were a significant risk to America. So I know why they don't say that now, because I'm aware that it is very damaging as a Democrat to just happen to agree with the president on anything. But for me, that's easy, a country over party what demands. Now, I don't know why we can't just be honest saying that, the last two professional candidates for the Democratic Party all agree that we can never allow Iran to acquire nuclear bombs, and that's made that possible now. I think we can say, hey, that's a great thing. That makes the world more safe, more secure, and holds Iran accountable.
Yeah, no doubt. Senator, I want to pull this up. So at 1:41 p.m., President Trump put out a tweet last week saying Kristi Noem was out and Markwayne Mullin is in for DHS Secretary. The reason I note the timestamp is 1:58 p.m. Really quickly thereafter, you announce that you will be voting in favor to confirm Markwayne Mullin, someone who hails from the other party. How were you able to so quickly come to that determination?
Yeah, well, for me, it's like I've known him for a while. And actually, I first really got an opportunity to really get him to know. I was the only Democrat that joined him on that mission to Turks and Caicos to help save those Americans being locked up in prison because they had a couple random bullets in there as accidentally. So, I mean, he's a good dude. And I know it's a significant upgrade, and I'm absolutely going to vote for him.
Yeah, well, that's a good rationale, and you've, like you said, served with him. I want to end by asking you this. These are some entities within DHS that are at risk during this shutdown. CISA, we know that Iran wants to attack our grid. They want to engage in cyber attacks. CISA protects us against that. Coast Guard, Secret Service, TSA. I mean, I know that you've spoken to the pain of the federal workers, which is huge, but do you feel that you're concerned for national security with this shutdown now?
Well, of course it is. And that's why I'm the only Democrat that refused to vote to shutting down the DHS. Now, if we would want to make some reforms at ICE, but we all know that would have no impact on ICE, at this point. And now that's part of isolating. And now I know what the base demands to just vote to shut it down, but I refuse to do that because that's the wrong thing. I ask a lot of Americans, hey, do you like getting paid for the work that you do? I haven't met anyone that says, nah, that's okay, you don't have to pay me. But that's what we are requiring now, those folks in the DHS, not to get paid for the work that they do to help protect America and keep us safe.
Okay, so I'm looking at the Tel Aviv cam here, and it's pointed down to the street, which tells me that something's going on. Gonna do a little rewind here.
If the Hezbollah is going to be, look at Beirut. I'm pulling up Beirut. What do we see? Yeah, these alerts are over. The alerts are over now. Moment. It's on the south side of Tehran. Here's my report. Unlike other Iranian facilities like Abadan, Iraq, Yadaviran, and South Pars, where Chinese firms have invested and upgraded them heavily, this refinery, it's called the Tehran refinery, doesn't seem to have any Chinese involvement at all. So very curiously, almost nonsensically, the big refinery that's been blown up just now actually might be one of the very few refineries that does not have Chinese involvement. Which is just astounding. It's like it's the exact opposite of what you would expect, to be honest. I'm a little bit confuddled. Sarah, do you like to party? Dude, are you hitting on Sarah? This is unbelievable.
The Sarah lore continues. It's getting wild.
This is getting out of hand. Okay. I have a statement here. I'm pull this up. Okay, I'm turning that off. Statement from the Turkish Foreign Minister. Turkish Foreign Minister Hakan Fidan is his name. Warned Iran today against firing any more ballistic missiles into the country following the shoot-down of Iranian ballistic missile that landed in Turkish territory on March 4th, 3 days ago. Additionally, Foreign Minister Fidan said that, quote, Turkey opposes any attacks targeting the infrastructure and energy resources of countries that are not directly involved in the war. So Turkey is condemning the Iranian regime's behavior, and they said, listen, do not fire any more ballistic missiles into Turkey. We saw them do that 3 days ago. In fact, Iran, they did something that was a little bit next level. 3 days ago, Iran fired exo-atmospheric ballistic missiles at Turkey. They all got shot down. But you know what that means? Iran, they fired ballistic missiles into space beyond the Earth's atmosphere that then came crashing back down, attempting to damage, I believe, a NATO base that is inside of Turkey, in eastern Turkey. It's a very big NATO base. And they got shot down, they got intercepted, but they fired exo-atmospheric ballistic missiles. That is really shocking. That's a big deal. And so Turkey said, don't be doing that anymore. Don't do that. Big mistake. Very stupid. And then they also condemned the rest of the Iranian regime's behavior. Absolutely condemnable behavior. Don't be doing that. Don't be doing that. Okay, I'm doing a quick update scan here, ladies and gentlemen. Caterpillar eyebrows. Uh-huh. Okay. Oh, things are heating up. Okay, actually a lot of things are heating up. I've got two things here that are hot. First off, a statement from Iran's representative of Iran is a guy named Katam Al-Anbiya, representative of Iran. Says, Azerbaijan must immediately expel the Zionists and their assets from their soil, or they will become targets of the Iranian armed forces. Iran is now saying to Azerbaijan, who they fired suicide drones at 2 days ago, by the way. Azerbaijan is already...
I was just about to say, Azerbaijan is already a part of it because they launched attacks at them. So this is kind of just an empty threat, or a threat that they've already followed through with. What just happened?
What's more, we saw yesterday morning, 27 or 28 hours ago now, we saw the Azerbaijani secret police actually intercepted a would-be Iranian terror attack. There were Iranian terrorists in Azerbaijan that were attempting to blow up a pipeline, a massive pipeline, and a mosque, and the Israeli embassy. And the terror attack got foiled. This pipeline runs from Baku in Azerbaijan all the way across Turkey and then down into the Mediterranean. So it's a big pipeline, and the Azerbaijanis make a lot of money from that pipeline, and the Iranian regime attempted to blow it up the other day. Alongside the Israeli embassy and some random mosque, And so anyway, the Azerbaijanis, between that and the suicide drones crashing into their airport or right beside their airport, and now this threat from the Iranians, the Azerbaijanis are not going to take this very lightly, I don't think. They're already pissed off. They're already upset.
And rightfully so, based on everything that's happened. All right, that's going to do it for the 2 p.m. Eastern Standard Time stream. Thank you for joining on YouTube, Rumble, and Kick. I will be live again, 8 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, covering more of this. We'll see what happens. We had a pretty jam-packed first half. Things kind of slowed down in the second half. I guess we'll see if things pick up later today. Not sure. Only time will tell. Anyway, take it easy, everyone.
Yeah, it must be, yeah. These are Israeli interceptors versus Hezbollah rockets. One more time.